Normally we like to start our YouTube videos off with a little relatable story from one of our clients. This time I'm not only a member, I'm also a client.
Yeah.
Because I was taught to do this. How to start the swing this particular way sent me down a rabbit hole that I wish I had never started digging in, because it took 3 times as long to get out of this rabbit hole, and I still have to stay on top of it. We're going to show you how to avoid it and what to do instead. If you want more free content than what you're seeing in this video, make sure to click that link in the first pinned comment down below. Also, if you haven't already done so and subscribed, what are we doing?
Yeah, come on.
What are we doing?
You know you're watching them.
Subscribe for us. It helps the channel out a lot. And also smash that notification so we'll let you know, or YouTube will let you know when new videos come out. All right, so I got to take a deep breath on this one because it brings up some bad
Vibes.
play. Yeah, this phrase can be interpreted a million different ways. Starting the swing a one-piece takeaway, which how I was taught that was everything moves at the same rate. So I would get about right here, and my hips would be maxed out, my club's still here. So then I have this big disconnect with the upper body, and it robbed me of distance. Sequence was brutal. It just made my swing feel gross, and I kept doing it because I thought that's what was supposed to happen. One-piece takeaway was everywhere at one point. And that version of the one-piece takeaway was brutal. And if I don't play golf for 6 months or whatever the case may be for my back, and I pick up a club, that's going to be the first move I make, is everything turns away. So I have to constantly still trying to dig myself out of that hole.
Yeah, it's just the lack of detail. You just turn and turn gets you probably working everything too much together.
Right.
Instead of getting this separation from your torso and your pelvis.
Now, the other side of that coin is having a takeaway where you restrict moving the hips.
You don't want to do that either. I hate that.
You were doing, you were taught that.
Yeah.
So you don't want either one of those. What should happen is you start to create separation, shoulders turning away from the pelvis right off the bat.
Yeah, and it's the speed of the torso action kind of stretches away from the hips. The hips aren't frozen. The rib cage is going to turn and separate from the pelvis, but not because you're freezing this.
Dr. Kwon has agreed, like, let the shoulders turn the pelvis.
Yep.
Like, it's as simple as it gets, rather than my version of almost leading with the hips.
Yeah.
Because the hips are going to stop at a certain point and the shoulders have got to keep going.
Yeah.
If that happens early and then it's all, last half of the backswing is all upper body, you got no chance at a good sequence, or very, very difficult chance at a good sequence coming down. That's why I had to hit a zillion balls just to feel like I could score.
Timing.
If I took a weekend off, I felt like I lost everything.
Yeah, the high level players will max out hip turn just before the backswing ends.
Right.
So it'll finish up here. The club is doing its thing finishing, and the pelvis starts to change direction. So you don't want to max out that turn early, because then, like Mike said, now you've got yourself behind the 8 ball. It becomes kind of a disconnected lifting motion to start the downswing, and you put yourself in a bad spot.
I think the problem is, feel-wise, if I just move my pelvis, my upper body's moving too, because it sits on top of the pelvis. But it's creating that separation early, I think, is where a lot of golfers can, one, avoid the path that I went down, avoid your path of not moving them at all, because they do need to move. But it's how you create this separation that I think is the really key part of this. We do a drill in lessons a lot where you do a staggered stance drill for both sides.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the backswing staggered stance, because I think this will help a tremendous amount.
Yeah, so I think a good way to help yourself understand the hips is to do the staggered stance, because I think when people think turn, they I call it spinning.
Right.
There's turning into the trail hip and the lead hip, and then they're spinning the whole pelvis around.
We did a lesson yesterday where the golfer was solely focused on turning the hips and all spin. It was wreaking havoc on his release.
Yeah, so basically what I'll have golfers do is take a normal stance and then put their lead foot in line with their trail heel. Lead toes in line with the trail heel, and just kind of like put a little weight on that trail foot, and then turn the upper body over, like kind of on top of that. So it looks like that. I'm just turning the torso and I feel a stretch through here. I'm unable to spin my hips.
It makes it very difficult to drive everything with the pelvis now.
Yeah, so I'm I've got a little weight on this trail foot. I'm turning the rib cage, And then I just put my lead foot down, and now I have my built-in kind of correct hip turn and then upper body turn at the same time. And the tilts are correct.
And if doing that is very tight, I know a lot of golfers are tight internal, external rotation on whichever side. Go check out a site like TPI. Go learn how to work on your body, but movement-wise, you want to think internal rotation, backswing, rather than just turning, because that turns into an ankle pivot for a lot of golfers.
So we'll call that the spin.
Yep. Okay, so that's backswing. So it's going to coil you up in the backswing. We like to use the term wind up.
Yeah.
Because, probably everybody's used to throwing a ball and you kind of wind up. I never thought about turn when I throw a ball. I just think about winding up.
Wind up is a good way to think about it.
And you always pull the upper body more than the lower body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about the downswing? We'll just flip that, right?
Yeah, so if you're a spinner, right, where you kind of hang back and spin, you can do something similar. Just make a little downswing where you pull your trail hip back in line with your lead heel and just kind of turn the body through. You'll feel internal rotation in this hip. And you have to kind of get the hip over the foot to do it. You don't want to be going this way. You just put a little weight on that foot and just make little swings. You can just little half swings here through, and you'll feel hitting into that kind of firm lead leg. And when you do that, the thing that you gain from that is at some point this pelvis motion has to accelerate and decelerate.
Right. It's got to be breaks in the swing.
So out of the top, it's accelerating. Well, eventually, if you work the hips correctly, it's going to start decelerating because you're internally rotating to this hip. And when you do that, the torso and the lead arm pick up speed, and then they decelerate at the right time. So you're cracking the whip by working the hips the correct way.
I think a lot of you are probably aware of the sequence of when things speed up, but there's also a sequence of when things slow down.
That's the piece I was always missing.
And that's typically the most important part. It's like, getting in a car, you got a Ferrari parked out front. Shaun hops in it, takes off, flies down the road, and I forgot to tell him it had no brakes.
Yeah.
It's a bad deal, right? It's kind of an important thing. If you got no brakes or don't know how to apply the brakes, all the speed in the world don't matter because you won't be able to use it.
Yeah, and the way to crack the whip the fastest would be to speed the pelvis up as fast as you can and then decelerate it as fast as you can.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that would create the most whipping effect. Right. But if you're just thinking about spinning your body as much as you can, you never really get the speed of the club head out into the ball in time. So the golf swing is based around the timing and the sequence. And if you can get those correct, the club face will line up at the right time as well.
Okay, there's an advanced version of this, what we just showed you guys, for the backswing and downswing. And we've done this in golf schools sometimes, and it's very difficult to do. So it's the walk and switch legs. So we're going to have Shaun demonstrate this. We're not going to have him hit a ball because I can't get far enough out of the way, and he hasn't practiced this in a while.
Yeah.
So walk everyone through how to do this. And again, start without hitting a ball and just work on the motion at first.
Yeah, you can take it normal. You can flip it upside down, but I'll just take the normal grip. So you're going to, for a right-hander, you put the club on the left side of your body, put your feet together, take a step with your right foot, and then swing back. Okay?
Yep. So that's the first drill we just did.
Right foot, swing back. Left foot forward, swing through. Right foot forward, swing back. Step, swing, step, swing, step, swing. And you can just keep walking forever like that. To me, that's the baseline movement pattern to teach someone how to play golf.
Now, when we give this drill to do for golfers to do and they've never done this before,
it's a disaster.
What are we likely to see?
So we used to lead off all our golf schools with this drill as a warm-up. And it was my first, I told them it was a warm-up, but it was actually me kind of assessing what the group was like. So
yeah, as far as a player's kind of movement awareness and all that.
Timing and rhythm.
Yep.
Could they do a little dance? It's kind of a little dance move, right?
Yep,
it's almost like patting your head and rubbing your belly.
Very much so.
What we would see a lot of is stepping and swinging at the same time.
Right.
They couldn't separate the movements of step, swing, step, swing. This looks a lot easier than it is if you haven't done it before. A lot of you will be stepping and swinging at the same time. And oh, by the way, that's why your golf swing has this look to it. Like there's no rhythm and timing and separation and sequence.
Yeah, and if you've ever watched any of Dr. Kwon's lesson videos, golfers go to see him struggle with that same
The stepping drills.
the coordination movement of it, to the point where you can feel silly doing it when you don't do it well, because it looks like when you do it a lot, it looks like it should be really simple. But you want to get over that hurdle of how it looks. Like, don't do it on the driving range in front of everybody, a packed range.
Yeah, you'll stop doing it.
Do it in your
immediately.
backyard first, because what you're going to learn to push yourself through that awkwardness is a really well sequenced acceleration and deceleration.
It's an old drill, but wow, it's a good one.
Yep. So give that a try. Start first one at a time, and then go in the backyard away from everybody. Turn the club upside down and start to do it as you walk. And if you can do it, film yourself again. You can do it. You'll start to see that show up in your real swing.